wanting to make a speed handle from a mill vise, and this is a pattern I drew out just by hand. This outer circle, I started out and it was bigger than what I wanted it to be, so I made it smaller. This is 2.5 inches diameter circle. This is 1.5 inch diameter circle. And then I just drew this line so I could get these relatively close to the same place so I could measure off of it. So the next step is to cut this out on the bandsaw and add some draft to it so that we're going to use this as an aluminum pattern and pour it. This socket, it's an 18 millimeter socket, which actually fits where my handle goes on my vise, and so it's going to get lined up here, and then there'll be a handle over here, and you'll crank it. All right, let's get it cut out. I'm wanting to make this pattern to using green sand, so when I make the mold, I've got to have some draft on this part. So in order to do that, I'm going to put a little stick right here, and then put my piece of OSB right up against that, clamp it down. This sanding drum's a little bigger than what I need. I'm going to go ahead though and rough this part out with it. Then kind of once I get close to the line, I can come back and get those these narrower diameters with a smaller drum. Putting this draft on here, I have to be kind of careful that I stay right here and don't get up in here, because my draft won't be the same. That's looking pretty good. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's all going to get machined. Oh, you know what? I should have cut this down to this smaller line. I'll be right back. Okay, that's better. Now it looks a little more like it's supposed to. Alright, I'm going to change this out. That's pretty darn good. Here's the pattern ready to be molded. Got our handle in the vise, and I lined it up by putting a couple parallels and then laying a square across it, and I'm trying to get this flat pretty much, you know, straight. So that was the best way I knew to do it, other than putting an indicator on it, and it's not that critical. So I'm now ready to try to start cleaning this gate off. We'll line this side the same way. Alright, let's take this in the other room and see what we can get done with the sander. I don't know how well this is going to sand, but let's see what that does. Okay, you can see we've got a pretty good finish on there. It's not perfect, but a couple little places here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get this placed in the vise, and we're going to knock it off with a fly cutter. Okay, I got it mounted in the vise, and got a fly cutter in the mill. Give it a little squirt of WD-40. The next thing we're going to do is get ready to bore our hole in the middle of this part. Drill this. Alright, this is the socket that we're going to use, and it's an 18 millimeter, which happens to fit this vise handle, so it measures 978 thousandths. Let me check this other end. 978 thousandths. So we're going to need a hole that's 976 to give us 2 thousandths of press fit. I think 9,000. Okay, 9,070. Let's shoot for 75 so we don't overshoot. Short work of it. Okay, so I got the boring bar in here. Haven't used the boring bar very much, so this will be kind of a fun thing to do. Okay. Okay, we're at 947. So I'll tell you what let's do. Let's take 3 more while we still got room to play. Let's take 3 more and see if we can get it to 9. Let's say we were shooting for 0.95. Boy, this hole is just, the finish on it's just really nice. I'm real happy with that. Okay, we're at 950, so that worked. Whew, it gives you a little more confidence. Okay, so we need to go to 9. Oh, I should write this down. 975. Yes, 975. Okay. So let's go up 20. Okay, 969. And that could be these little markings on here. It's hard to read them. Okay, so let's take another 5. Or I tell you what, let's take 6. .974. We really need to be at 976 to give us a 2000th interference. So we're going to dial in 2 more. Got the whole board in this handle, and I filmed most of that, but it wound up being like an hour long because I messed up so many times. But in the process, I did learn how to use my boring head, and just wanted to kind of film this to help me remember. But when you set this thing up, the axis of where this moves in and out, that's where your cutter needs to be facing that at a 90-degree angle. What I did before was I put it in here, but I just put it at a 90-degree angle to the axis of just anywhere. So as I started boring, it worked pretty good in the beginning because it was small and was pretty close to center, you know, but then as I started moving out, the cut got worse and worse and worse, and I think it's because this cutter was it was twisted backwards or twisted forward or something like that. So I took it out to sharpen it. When I put it back in, I realized how it needed to be lined up, and when I put it in there, then it started cutting great. But anyway, so I'm sure I'm not going to show all of that video because who wants to watch, you know, an hour's worth of a mess. But anyway, so we've got this done. This is the socket, and the hole is 0.02 of an inch smaller than this socket, so this should press in there just fine and be a really nice tight fit. And then the next thing we've got to do is bore a hole down here to hold the handle. Alright, we're going to make a very simple handle for this because I want to get this up and running. And so we're going to drill a 3/8 hole for a 3/8 16 bolt. Okay. And that should put us right in the middle of our part. Well, that handle. Set up to tap. Okay, I got a point in the end of my chuck, and we'll put a little Aluma-Tap on my tap. Get it started. Just use this to line me up. Alright, so for this part, really the last thing we got to do is I'm just going to take it to the sander and sand these sharp edges off, and then this part is done. We just got to make a handle and press the socket in, and our speed handle will be ready. Okay, I took one of the risers from the castings that we did, cut that part off, and we're going to turn this into the handle. I've got this chucked up in the lathe, and we're going to face it off and put a little hole in the end of it, you know, to go into the center. And what we're going to do is eventually we're going to bore this out so that it'll slide on here. This is going to be the arbor for this handle to go on. This will thread into the speed handle, and then this will go up in there. this will just turn on this handle. So we're basically just going to turn this straight. Depending on what diameter we're at, I may make an indentation for this to go up in so it's not sticking out the end of the handle. But we'll kind of see where we get. All right, let's go. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get this turned round. Not a great finish. My cutter's not just real sharp. We have to switch that out. Okay, let's see. We've got enough to cover our bolt. Alright, let's see if we can get a better finish on there. Let's swap this out. Alright, we'll put a little chamfer on the end down here. Alright, so we just give this a polish. Alright, we'll get it turned around. Okay, so I cut this off with the bandsaw, and now we're going to face it off. Give it a nice chamfer. Now we're going to get a hole drilled in the end of it. And our bolt slides right up in there. Now, let's see. Okay, we've got enough length. I want to recess the head. So we're going to get a boring bar. Put in here and recess the head. Okay, so we've got a boring bar set up in here, and we're going to go ahead and start cutting. That's big enough for that head. Let's see. Okay, the head is 6. That's the size of the head. It's the size. It's 6.635. And our hole is 0.565. So that's, let's see, 37. We gotta go 37, 60, about 68 more. Juice on there. It'll just fit in there now. Alright, so let's make it just a little bit bigger. Alright, let's put a little chamfer on there. Back this out. That looks much better. And that's going to be deep enough. I don't know if I think I want that to be about a 1/4 inch deeper than it is right now. Okay, I had an issue with it spinning in the jaws at one point, so it's got it marked up. I'm going to go ahead and chuck it back in here lightly and repolish it. Alright, that's pretty good because it's going to get beat up when I use it. Okay, so here's the parts to our handle. This is the socket that we're going to, here in just a minute, we're going to press this in right here. Then on this side we've got our handle that we just made in the lathe. We drop that bolt down into that nice recess right there, and then we're going to screw it down into this and put some Loctite on it so that we want it loose but in there far enough. Okay, so let's go over to the press and get this pushed in. Okay, we're just going to use this small press to press this down in here. Let me get you a better view. Try to get it straight. Alright, that bottomed it out. I think that's going to be good. I gave us sprayed that out with some brake cleaner, and the same thing on these threads, just to make sure that we get a good seal on it. I mean, yeah, that the Loctite seals well. And you know, I think I'll put a washer in between. No, that'll be alright. Okay, can I reach in there with these? It's going to be a challenge to get that bolt tight. Got a little bit of, run a little bit down in there. No, I don't want a lot of Loctite on the outside here. That wasn't really smart to put all that on the outside. I can use that at least for a while. Alright, let's try something here. Let's just stick a screwdriver in there and jam that. Looks like loosen that up just a little. There we go. Alright, so let's see how she does. See that? That 18mm fits on there really tight. Oh yeah, that's going to be great. Here's some close-ups of this thing completed, and it turned out really well. I'm real happy with it. You know, it's got a few air pockets in it. Had that sand inclusion right there, and but I think it looks really good. I'm happy with it. It doesn't need to be perfect because I'm going to beat it all up using it. So I think it's going to be great for what we wanted. Thank you for watching.